Hello again, and welcome to MasterMind Minutes. My name is Gary Occhigrosso. I am the founder and managing partner of Franchise Growth Solutions and the publisher of FranchiseMoneymaker.com. And for those of you who follow the podcast, you know that MasterMind Minutes is the program where we have one guest, we ask one question on one topic, and we get one answer. And we always do it in minutes, not hours. Keeping in mind that if you'd like to know more about the guest or about the company, at the end of the program, we'll give you contact information. And as always, you can click on the links below the podcast and go right over to connect with our guest. And our guest today is Michael Abramson. He's the Chief Strategy Officer at Lit Method, which is a wellness and tech company known for its innovative, high-intensity, low-impact training. In his role, he works to drive strategic vision while developing new partnerships that will expand the brand's reach globally with the advent of its unique hybrid franchise model. I'm going to talk about that because I've been in franchising 35 years, so when I hear hybrid franchise, I'm always intrigued. Most recently, just prior to Lit Method, he served as the Chief Operating Officer and Chief Revenue Officer for Xponential Fitness, which is you might not know that name, but most of you are familiar with companies like or brands like Club Pilates, Pure Barre, and CycleBar, and Row House, which we have a row house here now in northern New Jersey, where I am, just to name a few. While acting as the COO, Michael served on the IPO steering committee, playing a pivotal role in taking Xponential Fitness public, which is never an easy task, and talk about being under the microscope. So I know what that can be. Michael, thank you for being with us today. Thank you.
Thank you
for joining us. So before we get into the topic, because that's a pretty short intro there, why don't you fill in some blanks? Tell us a little bit more, maybe about your background, if you want to do that, and or about Lit Method and the company, what it's doing, and what it's bringing to the marketplace.
Sure. I mean, based on my bio, what I'm doing with Lit Method makes it sound like I'm doing a lot of nothing. A lot of waxing poetics. I need to talk to Kelly about my bio. So with Lit Method, what we're doing now is we're attaching a franchise component to their brick and mortar, which is also supported by their D2C program. And so Justin and Taylor, the founders, they invented their own rower reformer strength combination machine. It's patented. It's water driven. It's connected fitness, which is really nice. They do a lot of sales on D2C, and their studio was really humming pre-COVID. And so they want to really grow the brick and mortar footprint alongside of their D2C sales.
Okay, that's interesting. So is it currently a franchise, or this is a new initiative?
Brand new. Yeah. So when I left Xponential, I was talking to a friend, Jay Brown. In the entertainment industry, everyone knows Jay. Jay's the co-founder of Rock Nation, Jay-Z's company. He's also partners in Marcy Venture Partners. It's him, Larry Marcus, and Larry's a genius. He's the first investor in Pandora and some other big tech companies, and Jay-Z. They put money into Lit Method because they were interested in their growth and their D2C product. When I let Jay know that I was leaving Xponential, he wanted me to connect with Justin and Taylor because he really saw franchise growth for them. Mm-hmm. And we connected. It was love at first sight. And so I started helping them kind of get their ducks in a row to start the franchise growth, the franchise launch process.
Well, that's great, and obviously a ringing endorsement when you go to actually take this to market by some smart people who have success and pedigree, so to speak.
Always nice to have Big Hova on your side.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, and you know what, and that's what I want to talk about today, because emerging brands obviously face a unique set of obstacles, and not everybody's got Jay-Z. Or I was out at IFA back at the end of February, and Shaq was there talking about his brand, and last week at the multi-unit franchise conference. Emmett Smith was there, and he's involved in some things. So not everybody has that. All
Yeah.
right. And there are, unique obstacles and hurdles, if you will, when you're trying to grow, which is why, and again, my company, we get involved in startup and emerging brands and help them grow. And we remind them that, if you walk down the road of franchising as a franchisor, the dead and wounded are on the side of the road, if I can be graphic about it. And a lot of that is because either, well, there's a variety of reasons. Sometimes it's just they're not capitalized or the brand doesn't work. But very often it's because they haven't cracked the code, so to speak.
Yeah.
How do you get from being that entrepreneurially run business where you might have one or two units and then launch it and then get it from startup to that professionally managed operation that starts to get traction and people want to become part of that. So for a franchise company, a lot of that has to do with where am I finding people? How am I finding people who want to be involved in the brand? And not just anyone, people who have the right money aside, people who have the right cultural fit, they're passionate about what we're doing, they can follow a system, they don't want to reinvent the wheel, all those things that go into franchising. So, where do you see, I guess the question is, how do you see solving the lead gen obstacle with, a level of creativity, or because it's not just about money, obviously. I mean, where do
Yep.
you see solving that problem of lead gen for an emerging brand?
Yeah. So you have to look at what are the strengths of the company, right? And I look at all business, whether it's growth or otherwise, as it's all a relationship play. Where do you have the best relationships, and where can you either borrow someone else's platform or leverage your own platform to develop the actual strategy? For Lit, we're lucky in that we've got a strong direct to consumer program with our Lit machine. And so we have thousands of people across the country that are owners of our proprietary rower reformer, and they're using that alongside of our digital subscription. We're selling more and more of those every day. Each one of those are prospective candidates because, to your point, it's almost never really about the money, although you need to have money to get going. It's about finding people that are good fits for your culture, your fitness modality, your passion. Otherwise, when you hit a bump in the road, and you will hit a bump in the road, if it's just money that they're oriented on, it's going to be a conflict oriented process. Whereas if they're culturally a good fit, it will actually be a collaborative process to fix the problem. So I say look at your strengths and then tap into your relationships. So one of the first things that Lit did after I came on board was I reached out to Ryan Zink and Carrie Gilly, the founders of Franchise Fastlane, and I had worked with them at D1. I think D1 was their fourth brand, and as president of the company, I took them over there, and they have an incredible reputation for representing solid brands, selling really well, whether it's organic or broker network. And, I wanted to make sure we had that alignment. And so we're using their platform to continue to elevate what we do. Just like I mentioned, Marcy Venture Partners, that's market credibility. We're borrowing on what their successes in the past to help elevate ours, even though we can stand on our own 2 feet because the product is good enough. But unless you can get people to know about the product, doesn't matter how good your product is.
Mhm. And I'm glad to hear you say and talk about franchise Fastlane. We know those guys. By the way, we're friendly competitors. We do the same thing. We
Yeah,
actually think we do it
yeah,
better. We think we do it better, but they're good guys, and we know some of their work, and that is always a good way to go. So solving the lead gen problem in a creative way sounds like you're using a variety of methods. Obviously we've got some names behind the brand that have some celebrity. You've got a good FSO company that's working with you. you've created a strategy that is going to take the presentation or the brand voice directly to people who you feel meet the persona of the buyer. So, that's all kind of 30,000-foot stuff. How just take it another layer down. How do you begin to develop who is my ideal franchisee? Where do they, when I say where do they live, I mean, like, where do they live online? How are you reaching them? Because it's all
Sure.
digital at this point.
Yeah, so there's a couple ways. I mean, you can go super technical, and you can, if you are well capitalized enough, you can work with a company like Buxton, or Placer, or somebody like that that can take existing data from your customer base in your brick and mortar or your D2C business, and actually model out who your model or your mirror member is. And that can help you identify and then pursue those through strategic marketing means. The digital marketing, though, is probably one of the biggest pieces. You've got to be really strong and know what you're doing on the digital marketing side. Digital marketing is a black hole. Um, if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to spend $100,000 and get no results. So you got to work with reputable agencies. Um, you need to. I typically want to work off of a referral on that side, because if you're grabbing someone who you don't know, or you don't know anyone that's worked with them, it's a high risk venture, and there's usually lagging indicators, but you're spending money up front, right? So the lagging indicators take 30, 60, 90 days to play out. Am I filling the top of the funnel? Am I processing them through? And then am I actually closing them out at the bottom of the funnel? And so that usually takes 30 to 90 days. And so, but you're paying that
Yeah,
agency that entire time.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
It's
definitely one of the challenges with emerging brands, especially those that are operating on what I'll lovingly refer to as a tight budget. They don't have the dollars to do sort of the A/B testing, and very often, we'll tell them, we need to understand the fish we're going after and what pond they're in, because if you keep fishing in different ponds, every time you do that, it costs money. And
right.
I would hate to find out the good pond, so to speak, and you're out of money. So accelerating that process. So how are you then, or the marketing company you're working with, what data do you look at, if any, that helps you come to a decision or make a decision that, hey, you know what, we want to do digital. We're not looking at doing social media, let's say on Facebook with form fill ads. That's just going to get us a bunch of leads, but we're a bunch of people clicking to the website. We want
Right.
to target people. I'm just making this up. We want to target people on LinkedIn, or we want to do very, very tight SEM ads on Google. We want to do a blogging strategy where we get people over to our blogs, educate them, gain trust and confidence with a click through to our website. What sort of discussions are going on in the boardroom over at Lit with respect to that?
We're kind of doing everything, but leveraging heavy on, like you're saying, the Facebook form fields, right? Because you'll get a ton of tire kickers on that. You'll fill the funnel, but the funnel is just wasting your time.
Yeah.
The content strategy, I think, is the best right now. People are constantly looking for new content, not just entertainment, but like legitimate content. If you're in the fitness industry, they want to make sure you're tip of the arrow on wellness and longevity, not just it's a $30 a month gym, that you actually have an education behind it, because there's so much information out there. People are looking for tastemakers to follow and trust. And so I think if you're a newer brand, the question is, how do you become the tastemaker? What's your niche? Not just your brand's offering, but you and your talent pool. What can you specifically offer that differentiates, that brings attention to the brand, even if it's not just a derivative of the brand? So take, for example, like one of the things that Lit's going to get involved in is a nonprofit called Defy Ventures. It's a prison entrepreneurship program. That's something that I'm really passionate about. It's something that Justin and Taylor are really passionate about. We will get into the actual content development around that. Has nothing to do with franchise growth, but it gets eyeballs on the brand. It builds brand affinity and goodwill. So anything you can do, especially if it's a direct reflection of what your real passions and what you're good at are, the better. And then attach it to the brand. Find a way to attach it, even if it's not. If you're a roofing, so like Mighty Dog Roofing, right? Eric Van Horn and Josh Skolnick and all those guys. Even if you're Eric's got a big mastermind group, he gets tons of leads from that. He's not necessarily an expert in roofing, he's an expert in growing these franchise programs. So, you look at that and go, that's how he's getting eyeballs on his roofing company, which is selling a lot of territories. Or I guess it's now horsepower brands with multiple concepts.
Yeah. Yeah, actually it is. I believe they were represented at IFA in San Diego a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
And that is the interesting piece. And we preach, and I use the word preach specifically to our clients, because some of our clients, they're all great people. Some of them are a bit old school in the thinking. And, there's always the discussion about the ad. Okay. And I'm an older guy. Okay. I'm 65, but I like to, as my wife always says, I act like a 5-year-old. So I like to think I act like maybe a 15-year-old. But what I know is younger folks, people entering the franchise industry as franchisees today. Okay. Not talking about the established franchisee that owns, 1,000 Panera Breads or something like that. Okay. People
yep,
who are entering and going into non-food, let's say, or lower cost options, or kind of options, franchises that they believe have a lot of upside because of the way just the generational thinking is going. Brand like yours, for example, okay? They don't want to be sold to, okay? So to some extent they do, but they don't want to be sold to in an ad. And selling these days, it's not. I had a call with a client this morning, and she was insistent upon, this should happen in 10 days, and this should happen within 15 days, and I'm like, no. Okay, it's about how the buyer is gaining trust and confidence in the brand.
yeah,
And you can't, anything we say is self-serving. So if I could have a piece of PR, or if I could have a blog using so and so as the expert in whatever ice cream, okay, now all of a sudden everybody trusts so and so as the, what did you say, the taste maker? That's a great term in
yeah,
in that category. And they're now the poobah, they're the expert. So now when I find out that the poobah, the tastemaker, actually is involved with a brand, I want to get involved with him or her.
right, exactly. Well, and I think you see like Anthony Geisler from Expo. He's a tastemaker. Any modality he gets into, people follow because they're going, he's going to sell a shit ton of units,
Yep.
and that's going to be the next wave. So let's get in on the ground floor before he saturates the market with, like Club Pilates did. Um, the other side, when you're growing your actual lead gen, you want to have your website set up in such a way that prospective franchisees can spend 45 minutes looking through everything. You want them to be as self-service as possible so that when you are on the phone with them, they've already answered a lot of their own questions. And this is relationship building time. Because unless someone's buying 50 territories, they're establishing a relationship with a franchisor. Give them the background info on the website, let them go through the numbers, the details, the about us, all that nonsense,
Mhm.
and then let your calls be opportunities to go over unit economics and, you know, culture fit. Do we like talking to each other? Because we're going to be on the phone a lot.
Yeah, I agree. And it's interesting because when we design, we don't actually do the coding and the work, but we work with web developers and our clients to design. We like to use landing pages. We don't like
Hmm.
to use websites that have 50 million tabs, because then there's no flow. The buyer can get, or the prospect can get like lost and maybe get one piece of information that they don't understand because they didn't read this first. So
Yeah.
what we like to do is we do like to have those off ramps, so to speak, into more details, but we literally build that into the content where if we see someone is spending time, and you can look at the hot spots on a web page and see where they're jumping off or what have you. So we'll build a link into the content of, let's say, if the page is about the benefits or the investment, we'll build a link where they could actually click on it, go to another page, and learn more about that detail. And why is that important? First, because they've already read enough information that when they click through to that other page, it's going to make sense, unlike a tab.
Right.
And more importantly, we can track that link and we can see, okay, so this guy wasn't really, he didn't click on helping you find a location. We do a lot of bricks and mortar. He didn't click through on the menu. He's not really that interested in this, but he clicked through on the investment and the item 19. So this guy's a money guy. So what does that mean? As you said, you can engage in you're further down the funnel, you're further down the pipeline.
Yeah.
I always tell
It
folks,
lets you have meaningful conversation
yeah,
with someone.
when and conversation is the key word, because when we train our salespeople, we let them know, hey, when you pick up that phone, when you're having that call, that should be a continuation of a conversation that the prospect has already had, maybe only in their head from looking at our website. And when you do that, you can build rapport faster. So
Yeah.
leave me with a last word, so to speak, on another maybe if you got one more creative insight or two more creative insights on how emerging brands can utilize these strategies. By the way, everything we're talking about doesn't cost a boatload of money. We're not talking about spending $100,000 in advertising.
Yeah. So there are so many good low cost ways to enter into the market now. I'd say two last technical tips I'd give are: go video heavy. It's really easy to make a good video right now. Video is one of the most engaging platforms out there. People have short attention spans. Videos are engaging. You get a lot of stats from the videos, similar to like you were talking about following the consumer journey. You can see what videos are they watching, how much are they watching it, are they watching certain spots of it, etc. And then also build out a really strong text platform, because you get much better text engagement, and automate as much of that text engagement as possible so that you're giving little touches, but your team has direct access if you want to send a personal note. So yeah, video and text, because email is great. People spend time on email, but email is not white noise yet, but it's getting pretty close to white noise. Text message has higher engagement. Video has high engagement. One of my really good friends, his name's Todd Hartley. He's got a great company called Wirebuzz out of Phoenix. He is the head guy for Tony Robbins' digital mastery program for all their video sales. And so he shows me all the different tools that are out there right now. There's so many great video tools out there, whether it's Vidyard or something, Loom. So you can actually customize a video to educate your prospective client right off of the information you're getting on how they're engaging your website. So
No, and I agree on both those points. I can tell you, as someone who I'm addicted to TikTok, because video is engaging, and beyond that, looking at the texting piece, and drip campaigns almost that are in texting with these short bursts that allow you to stay in front of the prospect. By the way, I call that staying intelligently in touch. So you're not bombarding someone with 5 pages of content in an email. You're just hey, how you doing? Hey, we haven't heard from you. Hey, this is new. Have you seen this? Or sometimes it's a link to a piece of press. Anything that we can put that is educational in nature, as opposed to, hey, buy my franchise.
Yeah, it needs to be exciting and engaging. It can't just be, hey, haven't heard from you. Are
Yeah.
you still interested?
Yeah. That's days of the past. So Michael, if someone wanted to learn more about Lit, or they wanted to get in touch with you directly or indirectly, how do we do that? Website? Is there email, website?
Yeah.
What's the best way?
So anyone can hit me at mike@libmethod.com, or hit me on LinkedIn. I respond to just about every message on LinkedIn. And for Lit Method, go to litmethod.com or litmethodfranchise.com.
Okay, great. Uh, and our guest today has been Michael Abramson from Lit Method. And I want to thank you for being with us today. I truly
Oh,
appreciate the
thanks for having
insights.
me.
I will catch you offline about some of the companies and the things that you mentioned that I want to know more about. Um, I guess I will at some point see you at one of our conferences coming up. I don't know if you're going to be in New York at IFE in June or
Yeah,
IFE.
I think I will be.
Great, great. Well, again, thank you so much for your time. We truly, truly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All righty.